Hey there, I'm Mark. Welcome to a brand new series of tutorial videos about music and recording techniques on the Real Sessions channel. I'm going to start at the ground floor for those who are just starting out, so if you find this too basic, just keep checking back and I'm sure you will soon find something to stimulate you. In this video, I will look at what you need to get started and what you need to know to make it sound the best it can. Oh, and if you stay around to the end, I may find something a little bit extra as a special treat. So, if you want to record audio, you will firstly need something to record onto. This can take the form of a dedicated standalone recorder, or you may want to make use of a computer you have lying around. Either will serve you fine. Computers in general will afford you more flexibility, and they can make sharing ideas with your friends easier, whereas standalone units can be easier to get the hang of quickly, and they negate the need for extra bits and pieces as they come ready to go. Don't let anyone tell you that one is right and the other wrong. It is horses for courses, as they say. Whatever works best for you and lets you capture your creative ideas is all that matters. In the famous words of someone or other from a long time ago, a bad work person blames their tools, whereas an artist can make something from nothing. Next, you will need to capture your performance. If this is an electric instrument, it could just be a case of plugging it in. Simples! But if your instrument is acoustic, or you wish to record your voice, you will need a microphone. Now, I am sure you are all aware that microphones come in a multitude of shapes, sizes, and definitely prices. But you can get excellent results with the cheapest of mics, and if you're happy to buy second hand, you can get some amazing bargains. Now, mics could fill an entire video just by themselves, but I will give you a brief overview just for those who are starting out. There are three main categories: dynamic, condenser, and ribbon. Now, ribbon mics are not likely to be amongst your first purchases. As nice as they can be on the expensive side, and they are very delicate, especially when compared to the rugged workhorse of the dynamic microphone. These are probably the type you are most familiar with such industry standards like the SM58 and the SM57, which are used extensively and copied even more. But you don't have to shell out that much when there are excellent variations at a fraction of the price. These mics can take quite a bit of abuse and so are always useful to have in your collection. And this brings us finally to condenser mics. These require what we call phantom power to make them work, which can be supplied by a variety of means, and it allows them to get a clarity of sound that is hard to beat. But they are much more delicate and they command prices that can make your eyes water. But that said, there are some truly excellent models that are very affordable if you do a bit of research. Now, I'm all sure you have heard some pretentious poser claiming you must use this mic for this and that mic for that, but it's rubbish. I would rather capture an amazing performance with a well-placed cheap mic than a naff performance on a badly placed amazing mic. I'm sure that will touch some nerves, so feel free to vent in the comments below. If you have decided to use your computer for recording, you will have a few more considerations to take into account. Let us consider the sound card. This is what lets your computer handle audio. Now, they obviously come with this capacity, known as onboard audio, and they can do a pretty good job too. After all, they play your music back well enough. I'm sure many of you have video called someone, especially in the current climate, and sure enough, you could plug your mic or instrument straight in and get started. But if you can afford an external sound card, it will be well worth it. The problem with onboard audio is that it's only the most basic components that are used, and the conversion from an analog signal to a digital signal is being done inside your computer, and that is a very noisy environment, electrically speaking. Your lovely audio will not only sound very lackluster, but it will also be joined by a lot of background noise. And if you are layering several audio tracks, you will quickly find the noise dominating your music. But do not fear, you can get some truly excellent bits of kit for very little money. Now, Your first deciding factor will be how many channels you wish to record at the same time. And unless you want to record several musicians at once or a live drum kit, 2 or a stereo pair will be sufficient. Then, in addition, you can take into consideration what you will be plugging in, such as a microphone, a guitar, a line level instrument such as a keyboard. Although with modern equipment, this is much less of an issue as they feature multi-purpose inputs. Now, we're going to need to get a bit technical, I'm afraid, but I'll try to keep it brief and understandable, and then in a future episode I will delve a little deeper. When an analog signal is converted into a digital one, we need to consider the resolution, as one continuous signal is being chopped up into lots of smaller segments. We call these frequency and bitrate. And to keep things simple, CDs are 44.1 kHz and 16-bit, and DVDs are 96 kHz and 24-bit. Higher resolutions obviously take up more storage room, but with less powerful equipment, you might find your system hangs or your audio glitches during recording or playback, especially in large sessions with lots of tracks of audio. Just do some test recordings to get a feel for what your system can handle. Now, you're going to need to hear what you are recording. It's highly likely you already have speakers and headphones to hand, and to start with, they will more than suffice. Studio monitors have a flatter frequency response than hi-fi speakers, but they can easily do a basic job when you're starting out. And headphones will stop the sound of the speakers getting onto your microphone, which when recording is essential. Now, a quick point with speakers. You should aim to form a triangle with yourself and them. Each speaker the same distance from your ears, and the tweeters, or the smallest speaker cone, on the same level as your ears. This again is something I will look to cover in more depth at a later date. Now, to finish up, I would just like to mention a few general last points. Cables. Don't buy the cheapest. They will fail at the worst moment, and anyway, they will probably reduce the audio quality. And for the sake of a few quid, you can get great cables with a lifetime warranty. Oh, and get some spares and look after them by coiling them loosely when you put them away. Now, you will also need a mic stand and a pop shield. Life will be easier, and you'll eliminate those popping P's which are so prevalent on vocal takes. If you're really broke, a wire coat hanger and some old tights will suffice. Okay, now in terms of a very basic overview, I think that covers most aspects. If you can think of anything I missed, let me know in the comments below. I'm so glad you stayed to the end, and now for the added extra I promised. Here are some examples of voice and acoustic guitar recorded with a selection of different microphones so you can hear the differences, and then you can decide if the added cost is worth your while. I'll put them into a Dropbox folder as YouTube compresses all the audio on here, and this will give you a chance to listen to an uncompressed version. So, thanks for sticking around, thank you for watching the first episode, and well, I shall see you soon for episode number 2. Goodbye.